Hey guys, welcome back to Radical Living Podcast. We are now at part 2 of my conversation with Tony O'Neill. In this conversation, we pick up where we left off and we chat about the issue of comparison. We also talk about how important it is to be authentic and to be ourselves. And then we finish off our conversation with Tony telling us what he thinks are top tips to be radical. Guys, we hope you enjoy it and we will see you at the end of part 2. We've kind of touched on PTs. So for you, like anybody who's going to be listening to this, and maybe a lot of people who follow you will be listening to it, different people will just come across this. What are 5 things that you would suggest people need to look out for whenever they're selecting a personal trainer? And it can be a mix of positive, negative. What are 5 things?
Well, a personal trainer encourages someone and course corrects someone towards their health goals. And health, to everyone, health is different. Some people like yoga and they like to go for a walk and that is it. Others like to bodybuild. Others like to do CrossFit. So everyone is different. And right away, you just know from appearance or point of view or their sort of ethos around the business, is it relatable? A bodybuilder's not going to go to a yoga studio to build muscle. So first and foremost, are they relatable towards your goals? Are they what you want? Personality match. So even like not everybody's like comfortable on camera. I don't mind it. I lost my dad at a young age, so I think that's why I kind of don't really care what people think, unless it's something directly that they're paying me for. Therefore, I care a lot about it, maybe a bit too much. But that drives me on to become better at what I do. Anyway, back to what we were talking about. Yeah, like a personality match. What's the personality in words, in their posts? Do they feel like they could work with you? If they're going to shout like military style and you don't want that, then you're not going to want to pay for that.
Yeah.
So, it's like so important, but some people do like that. They like to be shouted at. They like to be treated like a 7-year-old kid, and they get results, and they're just fine with that. They don't care. It's about how they look in a dress, and that's all that matters. Have they helped you already? I suppose it's a good thing. Like subconsciously, whenever we look at stuff, health and fitness, I try and keep my Instagram as clear as possible to things, so that my newsfeed is a lot of osteopaths, physios, different doctors talking about different aspects of health so that I can take away stuff. Have they helped you? So even subconsciously, are you picking up tips? Is it working for you? And then you'll likely want to develop that journey further with that person because what they've previously said has helped. Testimonials, do they get people talking about their experience? Can you resonate with what they say? Or can you speak to a friend who has achieved the results that you want to achieve, or even just someone a colleague, whatever it may be, and find out from them what was the process, how did it work, and then based off that, speak to the person, speak to the PT. If they don't have 15 or 20 minutes of their time to chat to you before you sign up, then they're probably not the one for you, because if they don't give you that time, then there's probably likely be a breakdown in everything that they do. PT, just do your due diligence and go with your gut feeling. That's my PT's worth.
I think as well, like just what you were saying, Tony, I think the thing with most people now, especially like this generation, is people can kind of see through you if you're being, you said there, if they're not willing to have a 20-minute chat with you before you actually sign up with
the
them.
Commitment.
It's gonna, people want to know that they're being looked after and cared for. That's what people want. So I think that's really important. Like anybody who's listening to this, like don't settle for something that you shouldn't settle for. Like settle for the best and know kind of like your health is a key aspect of your life. Like you need to go with somebody who's going to look after that and nurture that. And
like if you're in the industry, give a crap about it. Become better, be more, do more, help more people, because the more people you help, the better society becomes.
Yeah.
Less stressed society is, the better it moves, the longer it's going to live, the happier they are. And yeah, it's a fantastic industry, but it just needs a bit more regulation.
Yeah, very good. This next one I'm really interested in, and I think it's a biggie. We kind of spoke about like comparison and stuff way at the beginning, but I think this is also a silent killer, like within a lot of people. In relation to food, Tony, I think you've spoke about this on your Instagram handle as well. From what I've followed and what I've heard, but with food, there seems to be this like, oh, you can't have that because it's bad, or like, here's good food, you should have it. So there's like a good and bad food. So how can we remove that shame and guilt that then is associated with that mindset?
Conversations I've been having recently through the Female Way group is that the binge cycle and what perpetuates it. And for me, it comes down to the rigidity of your diet and what you're eating. And the longer you say you can't have that because it's a bad food, the more you're increasing the desire to want it.
Yeah.
And then whenever you let the handcuffs off and you have one, maybe two, you end up having 10. And then that just perpetuates an absolutely uncontrollable cycle of shame, guilt. You feel like a loser, and you feel incapable, and then it just kickstarts that again. So look, there are no good foods and there are no bad foods. Period. Food is food. It has a caloric energy value. And some foods are more calorie dense than others, and some foods are more nutritious than others. So a salad is going to offer lots of like nutrient density, lots of micronutrients, etc. A sausage roll is going to have no nutrients in it. It'll have a little bit of macronutrients, of course, with the fats, likely a bit of protein in it, but vast majority will be fat. It's a pastry and the grease that it's cooked in. So food is food, and it's all relative to it. Like if you look at Matt Fraser, the CrossFit guy who won it 5 years in a row there, he eats 9,300 calories per day. That's roughly what his requirement is in competition season. Like that's insane for someone at 5'7". 9,300 calories. So can someone like him eat 6 sausage rolls per day and get away with it and still pretty jacked and all that because he's putting his muscles under stimulus? Yes. But if Betty, who is roughly worked out that she needs to eat around 1,700 calories per day to maintain where she is at, if she has a sausage roll or two on top of other foods, then she's going to be going in the wrong direction. Interdependent, of course, of what her goals are. Does that make sense? So
it does.
Look, there's no right or wrong. It's either there's more nutrition in it or there's more calories in it. And some have both. You can have like a massive Buddha bowl. You can have a massive bowl of oats and you have nut butter in it and you have other nuts in it, then raspberries and banana. And the oats could be 200 grams and you could add some almond milk or whatever to it and it could be 1,200 calories. In fact, I've been there before, 1,000 calorie bowl of oats. But I need lots of energy and I eat about 4,000 per day. So again, it's all subjective to where you're at. So
and again, it goes back to every individual's different. So your requirements are going to be different than mine, but it's changing that mindset of, well, actually, no, like there is no such thing as good food or bad foods. We need our bodies have needs and we need to give them up.
If there's one take home from here, food is food. We live in Western society and therefore we are just spoilt that we can't eat it in abundance if we desire. And just to try 80, 70, 80, 90% of the time, whatever, the vast majority of the time, just try and have food with nutritious value. Protein, fiber, micronutrients, eat fruit and vegetables, get what you can into it. But also, if you want a bar of chocolate on Wednesday night, eat the bar of chocolate. My goodness. it's a privilege to society. However, if you have aspirations of, say, losing a little bit of weight and you're having 6 bars of chocolate in a week, then you need to reevaluate either one, your approach, or two, your goals.
Yeah. Yeah. Very good.
So it's a very complex
Yeah.
answer, Jess. Hopefully, I've touched on a few different
No,
angles so that you can take different take homes from it.
There's some really good insights there, and kind of coming towards the end of our conversation. But just before we get to our final question, and we've touched on this as well, and this is something I think you do really well personally. But how valuable is it that a personal trainer, and we are talking about PTs and people in the fitness industry, but how valuable is it that they are authentic, transparent, and just genuinely care for people?
Oh, obviously, my answer here is very important from what I've been saying and how much I care about the industry. But I think the problem is everyone wants to be everybody's coach. It's like they always want to make themselves available for every need. And a word recently that that's become known to me is congruency, and I absolutely love that. Like, it's so. Here's exactly what I do. If you sign up, here's exactly what you're going to get, and there's very little left or right, and we'll work out the middle bits or the grey bits along the way because everyone is different. It's just there's enough business for everybody.
Yeah.
And a lot of people just say yes to becoming that coach. Like if someone was coming to me and say, I'd like to learn Olympic lifting, I'm not your coach. Or I'd like to learn kettlebells, I'm not your coach.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've heard of this guy, he's great. Or regards kettlebells, I hear she's unbelievable. Reach out to her and give it a go. So I think it's just a reminder that I think people sway away from it because they're always in that fear of where the next sale is. But yet, ironically, if you were like, and I don't like the term niche, I think the best PTs are the best generalists and they're able to touch on a bit of everything. But if you can correlate some form of niche, just become better at it and just document what you do. Document what you're doing with clients, because then that particular client that you're helping, there'll be someone who will resonate with that client and their struggles and what they need to achieve on the other side. And then they'll maybe contact you based on what you've said about his or her progress. So I think ultimately just stay true to who you are, what you naturally want to do. Don't force yourself into a relationship with a client just to make a few quid.
Yeah.
So it's very important.
It goes alongside with integrity. Like if you're going to say something, stick to it. Like don't just say, oh yeah, and then you don't actually deliver, because then it's just a mess for everybody involved. So I think and whenever you were talking there, integrity just came into my mind, and it's having that integrity to be like, look, here's what I offer, here's what I'm going to help you with, and you do it. Instead of, you used the example earlier of somebody wanting to lose X amount of pounds in 7 weeks for their wedding. If you can't deliver on it, don't say it.
Yeah.
just be upfront about it. Brilliant. Tony, last question.
Okay.
Can't believe we're nearly finished.
No tears.
No tears. I'll try and keep them in. Or are you talking about you?
I'm already in tears.
Oh, here.
I'm not crying, you're crying.
What are your top 3 tips? So for people listening, and most listeners listen to this podcast because, and your answer was brilliant, I loved it, about being radical and just being you. What are your top 3 tips for somebody to be radical?
So when you asked me the question earlier, I thought of the term like self-assessment. I'm a big fan of self-assessing what you're doing. Where'd your energy go? Was it worth it? Did it reciprocate? Did you get energy back? Was it dead energy? Did it deflate you? And I just like self-assessment. And it's gonna give you 2 things. It's gonna be like a 2-pronged thing, this first point.
Yeah.
Or if this counts at 2, then happy days, less pressure. But it's like, see, when you self-assess and you're happy with what you're doing, it's going to give you a sense of contentment. And see, whenever we are content, we're probably at our most state of joy because things around us just make sense. Like our state of being in that present moment makes sense. Therefore, you're not anxious about what's going on. Or if you are content and you're feeling good about what you're doing, your mind's not preoccupied or stuck in the past. and making you overanalyze things that maybe perhaps you made a mistake, or when something went wrong, you're trying to work out why it went wrong, even though there's nothing you can do about it anyway. So I'm a big fan of self-assessment. What's in your head, get it on paper. Get the helicopter view on it so that you can make logical, rational decisions rather than just one based on emotion that's in your head. Because if you sleep in and you have, like, I've been feeling grim all week with that vaccine, like we spoke about before we went on call, and I've just found it very difficult this week to get going. So see, if you asked me to self-assess during the week without being on paper, I'd tell you things are a bit crap, I'm a bit tired, a bit stressed out. Today I'm starting to feel myself again, which is great. And today I would give you a different answer than what I would have done 72 hours ago. So the whole contentment thing is so important. And if you're not content, then at least it's going to identify actionable steps, what you need to do to make yourself become more content. Because again, and I'm going to take your one cup of tea, Tony Robbins isn't everyone's cup of tea.
Yeah.
Because of part of my education is in psychology, and then I friends who actually are psychologists, and they can't stand him because he just really does the NLP stuff, and he talks like a clinical psychologist. Look, whatever, my point here is that he says a thing that I love, and it's progress equals happiness. Because the way that resonates with me so much is that our most wealthy commodity that we have is our time. We'll always make money back. We'll always get a new job. We'll always get a new husband or wife, whatever it may be. But once time's gone, we never get that back. And as long as we're using that wisely and that we're being like resilient and we're chipping away at stuff, and fair enough if something goes wrong, but at least we've identified a way that here, that's not the way to do it.
Yeah.
And you're on a roundabout. Every decision we make in life, you're on a roundabout because there's different options we can take. But every time we go back to that roundabout after trying a way that failed, there's less options on the roundabout. Therefore, you're getting closer to picking that right pathway, or at least the mathematical probability is that you're going to make the right call sooner rather than later if you keep moving in that direction. So 3 tips for being radical is just keep probing yourself. Just keep asking questions of yourself. Why did you do that? That doesn't work for me. Like, stop doing it. Like, I just like being relentless. Just keep moving forward and whatever it is you do. And we won't always be on it and accept that.
Yeah.
There'll be some days you're just like, look, this isn't for me. You may even feel like a failure and you've moved backwards, but it's going to set you up for a greater win.
Yeah.
Because everything that we deem a failure is just, it's feedback coming into our lives that that's not the way to do something.
Yeah. Guys, we hope you enjoyed our 2-part conversation with nutritionist Tony O'Neill. Please go and check out his social media at tony.o'neill on Instagram. You can also go and check out Tony and Jen's, which is where you will find all of their recipes and nutrition advice. As well as that, you can go and follow The Female Way, which is Tony's online coaching platform. I just want to say a massive thank you to Tony for joining me, for sharing all of his wisdom, and thank you for the good banter and the good laughs. Really enjoyed and what you had to say and learned a lot from it. Guys, go and keep track with Tony and his journey in the nutrition and personal training industry, and support him in his quest of breaking the diet stigma. Want to say a massive thank you to all of our listeners. Please go and check out Radical Living on Facebook and Instagram. Give us a like, share with all your friends, and check us out on YouTube as well. Guys, hope you have an amazing weekend, and we will tune in again in a couple of weeks' time. Remember, stay radical.